Good afternoon. Welcome to the Public Works Committee for September 20th, 2021. Welcome back to the Public Works Committee format. I am Councilmember Brenda Fincher. I chair this committee, and I have with me Councilmember Sethwinder Kaur and Councilmember Marley Larimer. We have a pretty short agenda today. Are there any changes to the agenda? One person I forgot to introduce was Cheryl Biseth, who is handling the minutes for us and keeping us in order. So the first thing that we have is a lease agreement with T-Mobile. So we have Cheryl. Would you like to come forward and tell us who you are and what you're going to do?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Rolcik-Wilcox. I'm the city's property and acquisition analyst. And I'm here to talk about the renewal of a cell site lease, and it's located at Pump Station number 5 on the East Hill. On 90th off 240th. Let's see, did I hit the right button? The original lease was with T-Mobile's predecessor, VoiceStream, and was signed on September 23rd, 2005. Crown Castle now manages all of T-Mobile's cell site leases, so the new lease was negotiated by Crown Castle, but the tenant is still a T-Mobile entity, and that entity is T-Mobile West Tower LLC. But that entity is managed by Crown Castle, and so the entity is called CCTMO, which is an acronym for Crown Castle T-Mobile. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm just going to use T-Mobile as the tenant name. The lease expired September 27, 2020, and has been in holdover, operating on a month-to-month basis during negotiations. The new lease will commence retroactively on September 27, 2020, and will end on September 30th, 2025. But T-Mobile has the option to renew for 2 additional 5-year periods after that. Rent starts at $2,800 per month and will be adjusted to market rent during the first year of each renewal term. And it's going to increase 4% each year for the years 2 through 5 of each renewal term. T-Mobile is also going to pay a $3,000 administrative license fee at the beginning of the lease, and the lease payments go to the water fund. Are there any questions?
And these are on the side of an existing building?
Yes.
So it's not going to be a gawky new structure out there?
No, it's already there, and it's been there since 2005. So they may make some modifications, my understanding is, but the modifications are going to be within the same area.
Good, good, good. Councilmember Larimer.
So I just want to clarify. So we'll be doing a market adjustment the first year.
Yes.
Which is this year, and then it'll be the first year of the next 5-year renewal.
Yes, yeah.
And then it increases 4% in those other years.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
So, if there is nothing else, I am ready for a motion.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I move to authorize the mayor to execute a lease agreement with T-Mobile West Tower LLC by and through CCTMO LLC to operate and maintain a wireless communication facility at Pump Station number 5, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded, and since I neglected to ask Councilmember Kaur, did you have any questions or comments?
I do not, thank you.
Then, in that case, we are ready for a vote. All in favor of moving this on?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, muted aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried unanimously, and this will move on to full council. Thank you very much. And you have it again.
I do. I have the next presentation, too. This one is a developer is going to be redeveloping the former REI property, and it's located at 2750 South 228th Street, so you can see it there on the map. There are 2 drainage easements that were granted to the city in 1987, and they're located in an area where the developer is preparing to construct a new building. So as part of the request to release the drainage easements, the developer has agreed to convert the drainage system from public to private. Also, as part of the redevelopment, the developer agreed to dedicate to the city as right-of-way an area where the sidewalk easement, a sidewalk easement was granted to the city in 2012. So a new 5-foot planter strip with street trees and a new sidewalk will be built by the developer within the new public right-of-way dedication area. The deed for the right-of-way acquisition will be recorded before the city will record the sidewalk easement release. And that deed, I believe, is in the signing process right now. I think the developer has already had the property owner sign, and it's just being acknowledged by the mayor right now, if it hasn't already been signed. Any questions?
No questions, and we will definitely benefit from that new structure. Any questions from either of my council members? Comments?
No questions from me?
No questions. Cheryl, do we know what kind of building they're building there?
You know, I'm not sure. Do you know? A warehouse?
Tilt-up warehouse, yeah.
A built-up warehouse?
Tilt-up.
Tilt-up warehouse.
Okay. All right, thank you. No other questions.
In that case, we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to execute a lease agreement with T-Mobile West Tower LLC by and through CCTMO. Wait, I'm reading the wrong one. I apologize. I had that open when I went off.
Page 46 of our packet.
The drainage one.
I know, I had that one up in this, I don't know what happened. Okay. Multitasking here. And now I went to the last one. I am so sorry. There we go. Okay. Chair, I apologize for that. I move to authorize the mayor to sign terminations of 2 drainage easements and a sidewalk easement on property owned by Bridgepoint Kent 300 LLC, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to move the termination of drainage easement and sidewalk easement on Bridgepoint Kent 300 LLC property, to move that on to the full council. No comments, no questions. We are ready for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried unanimously, and that will move on to the full council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Director Bieren, who's going to talk to us about environmental covenant with the State of Washington Pollution Liability Insurance Agency.
Thank you for having me. The figure on the screen you'll see, back one, Cheryl, please. Thank you. This is the intersection of 64th and Meeker. Actually, 64th and Meeker is just up in the upper right-hand corner there. And the drawing, the rest of the drawing shows the Midtown 64 apartment complex that is out there currently. It was built by Goodman Real Estate over the last several years and is now occupied. The green blob on the left side of this picture is an area of contamination that has been out there for several decades. I think it was determined in the 80s that the former Shell station that was on the north side of Meeker Street, which is just to the north there where all those little blue dots are. Shell station was out there for a number of years. They had a leaking underground storage tank, had fuel that made its way underneath the site, the Shell site, underneath Meeker Street, then onto private property. So when Goodman developed this property, they removed that green area. They actually took the soil, trucked it off-site, disposed of it in a landfill, approved landfill, and then put in what's called an activated carbon wall in the right-of-way, just underneath the sidewalk. What this does is it prevents further pollution of the property in case any of the material that's underneath Meeker Street continues to migrate to the south. As part of the process of getting their property released, they need to have an environmental covenant put on that section of the right-of-way that houses that activated carbon wall. And that's what the request is in front of the committee, is to allow this environmental covenant to be placed in the right-of-way. It's a little atypical for us. We typically keep the right-of-way free of encumbrances, but in this case, This was part of getting the site developed, and it's a real benefit to the city to have the site developed and have people living there, and then allowing us to not have to clean up all of the right-of-way under Meeker. In order to do that, we'd be shutting Meeker down for a number of months and removing material, and then bringing in clean material and repaving the street, which would be quite a process, and was something that this is essentially a good alternative to that process.
Thank you. Another thing it's going to do, having more people there is going to have more eyes on the neighborhood and help clean up that area. If you were to drive by there today, there is quite a mess there. So at the building behind what we're talking about right now. So another win for the city. Comments from either of my council members? And this is not going to be any additional cost to the city, and it's going to be a wall that would be there in perpetuity anyway, so I am ready for a motion.
Sorry, I have a quick question, maybe just, Chad, is this going to impact, like, people who are driving by or people who are living there?
Yeah, it will not. The wall's already underground. It's already been installed. It's working. It's covered up right now by the Meet Me on Meeker improvements. So folks will walk over the top of it for decades to come and not know what's under there.
Got it. Thank you.
It's just to stop any contaminants from leaching further out into the
Or recontaminating the site.
Recontaminating the site. So in that case, we have the motion. Is there a second?
I actually haven't done the motion yet. Do you want me? Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to execute an environmental covenant with the state of Washington, Pollution Liability Insurance Agency, and GR Meeker Street LLC, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we'll be voting on the environmental covenant with the state of Washington, pollution as stated. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and we'll move on to the full council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then we have traffic calming. Honey Maria.
Yes. So hello everyone, my name is Maria. I'm a transportation engineer and a new addition to the Public Works family. I joined in January 2018, and since then Rob, Eric, and the whole team has been very helpful towards me, and I'm grateful for their support. So now to give a little bit of background on me. I came here all the way from Boston. I worked as a traffic engineer at City of Boston in their traffic management center. I was responsible for monitoring and improving the traffic flow of the city. I did signal design, and I developed and reviewed project plans. And before that, I did my master's in civil engineering from Wayne State University, Michigan. I worked 3 years at their transportation research group, and I worked on projects focusing on traffic operation and safety. Today I'm here to present an update on the residential traffic calming program, also known as RTCP. The RTCP is a neighborhood livability program in addition to our citywide local road safety plan, which gives our residents a formal process to bring in their concern about speeds and cut-through traffic issues on the residential streets to the attention of the city. So the current program is approved in June 2020 by the resolution. It's a short and simple process. It considers other factors beside vehicle speed, such as crash history, presence of a school, park, or transit. It uses a point system to determine if a street qualifies. So the minimum requirement is 50 points. The previous program used to focus on the 85th percentile speed to be over 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. The 10 miles per hour also qualifies now for the street to qualify. In the pictures, our signal technician, Jose, is installing tubes for our traffic study. So we received 44 total requests in 2020, which was a new record for us. In 2021, till date, we received 23 requests. Even though it is a little bit less than the 2020 requests, the program is still very active and is already surpassing 2019 requests. This map shows the location of the request we received till January 2018. The green lines here are the streets that are qualified, which means it meets the minimum requirements of 50 points. A follow-up traffic study was done to verify the results, and the next step is to schedule neighborhood meetings. The blue lines are the streets where action is warranted, which means it qualifies for the program. It scored 50 points, and the next step is to schedule a follow-up traffic study. The purple lines are the streets that are awaiting neighborhood participations or a traffic study. Most of these streets have not gathered support yet, but few of them have, and we have ordered the traffic study and will be completed soon. The brown lines are the street where action is not warranted, so it does not meet the requirements, and the next step is to close out the request. The orange lines are the streets where the request has already been closed out as it did not meet any requirements, the minimum requirements of 50 points, so closed it out. Since our February 23 update to the council, we have received 21 new requests, 36 studies have been evaluated, 8 studies are underway, 10 studies are qualified. We closed out 21 studies, and we recently constructed traffic calming devices in 2 neighborhoods. So we are moving forward with the total of 17 requests that are qualified. 7 requests are qualified under the old program. This request automatically qualifies under the new program and will be taken first through the public process. And the 10 requests qualified under the current program, and we'll be also scheduling neighborhood meetings for this. This map shows 17 RTCP requests that we are moving forward with. The purple ones are the requests that are qualified under the current program, and the blue ones are the streets that are qualified under the old program. So social distances requirements are a challenge to having a traditional neighborhood meeting in the local schools and library. And so virtual meetings are very popular nowadays given the circumstances. So we'll be mailing out neighborhood mailings to the residents with Zoom meeting information that can be joined by phone and computer. All the residents will receive the mailings even though the owner or the taxpayer's address is offsite. And any residents can call in to join the meeting. So from the meeting, we will try to gather consensus or at least a sense of the popular ideas to develop a plan, and the neighborhood will then vote on the plan with mail-in ballots. So as I said, we recently finished construction on 2 neighborhoods. One is Hazel Avenue North between James Street and East Smith Street, and we installed 3 speed cushions there. And another one is Scenic Hill, starting from Rayton Road at Seattle Street, continuing south on South 267th Street at 102nd Avenue SE. And we installed 6 speed cushions and 3 raised crosswalks there. So the top picture is one of the speed cushions on Hazel Avenue North, and the bottom picture is one of the raised crosswalks on Rayton Road. And the markings you see on the pictures, they're temporary markings, so final markings are yet to be installed there. That's it from me. Any questions?
Questions from either of you two?
I have several, so.
Go for it.
So thank you for this presentation. Great program. I'm really excited to see the amount of calming that we're looking at. So you said that the blue ones, the ones that are qualified, the next step is a study.
Okay.
So what does that entail? What could residents along those streets expect?
So they scored 50 points. We have to verify those results with another study, and if they like the study, if they confirm the results, then we can move on to the next step, which is the neighborhood process.
Okay. So if they're in the blue lines, then there's still going to be a study to be done.
They're actually, are you talking about these blue lines? Because
no,
they're
the original one with the different colors there.
This one?
Yeah, so,
yes, that's what I explained, that we have to do another study, and if the if they confirm the results from the first study, then we'll be going with the public meetings.
Okay. And then for the ones that will be taking action, when can residents expect to be contacted? Do we kind of notify all 17 neighborhoods at once, or is it a staggered approach?
We actually divided into 2 groups, one from the old program, so we will be taking those streets first for the neighborhood meetings. So we have a list, we go from, the numerical wise, which one first come first serve. So the first one, the first time we receive the request, we'll be starting with that request first, I think, right, Rob? Yes.
Okay.
So it depends on the request, depends on the date we receive the request. So if it's first, if it's received first, then we'll be
Okay, thank you.
going forward with it first.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Core?
My question was about the 21 that we closed out, and I'm assuming that's 21 including some from the previous program and the new program that did not qualify. Because, you said, because it said 21 so far for this year, and then 21 closed out.
Yeah, 21 closed out since January 2018. So
they didn't close, okay, I got it, all right, thank you.
okay.
Maria, there is, the neighbors have a part in this. You mentioned that you called the neighbors together and have a meeting. So you mentioned that there's a study. How do you get the data from that study? So the neighbors have a role to play there?
No, we installed tubes on the roads. So we got volume and speed data from that. And we also include crash data and the presence of sidewalk, presence of school, transit, or park. Then we score the corridor, and if it qualifies, if it's more than 50 points, then we say, okay, it qualifies. We're going to get a second study to confirm the results, and then the next step is we go for the public meetings, and we develop a plan, and they vote on it. If they say yes, then we go according with the plan, install traffic calming devices.
So Mr. and Mrs. Neighbor calls the department takes the complaint in, does the study, decides if there are indeed speeds greater than the percentile that you need, and then call a meeting. And how are the neighbors notified for that meeting?
We are going to send out neighborhood mailings, right? And we have Zoom information on that, and they are going to attend the meeting, and then we are going to develop plans that where are we going to put on the traffic calming devices. Then they're going to vote with the mail-in ballots, and then we're going to let them know that okay, whether they decided to vote yes on it, then we're going to install them. That's what you're asking?
Yes, it looks like you have a bit of help there too.
Okay.
Also, is there, the neighbors have a say in whether it's the pillows, the speed bumps, and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably the 2 biggest items if I'm a neighbor and the program's active in my neighborhood. Number 1, I'm going to get a letter from Maria that says whether or not I qualify, and then we'll have the public meeting and talk about what the options are for the devices that would be put in the neighborhood, if it qualifies. And then the second part of that is beyond Maria is we talk about how much money is available. Because we have money in the budget every year for traffic calming. But as Maria pointed out, we've had a number of requests that have come through, many of them probably fairly historic. Because under the old program, it was fairly hard to qualify. It was high speeds, and the number of qualification factors that we looked at were pretty limited. We've expanded that so that if you're close to a school, or if there are no sidewalks in the neighborhood, and then there's an accident history, those things all play into it. So we're going to have a number of those projects that annually will end up putting either in their own project or adding onto the overlay program each year, so that we're responding to what's kind of been historic issues in some of the neighborhoods, but also issues that we've seen coming up even since COVID. There have been changes in traffic patterns since COVID, and we're seeing those and reacting to those as well.
So the first step is either to make the call or to go through Kent Works and online to the portal and to file your concerns there so that somebody sees that in Public Works, gets their eyes on it, and that starts the ball rolling.
Yeah, very good point. We're very happy to have Maria on board. You know, our traffic calming program is really taking off because we had Rob and Eric, our two traffic guys for the whole city. And so we're up, you know, another 50% with Maria. It's like finally have three people on board to work on it. So very excited about that.
One more, I have another question.
Okay.
If I could. What's the difference between, so they qualify for the 50 points. How do we determine that versus this, and then there's another study? So is the first one a study or?
Yes, so they get that first round, and Rob, you want to walk through the specifics of it? Okay.
I'm just curious what the difference is between the two that pushes.
Definitely, yes. Great question. So what we do is we go through, we do our initial traffic study, and that's where we do the traffic counts with the tubes. We measure traffic volumes, traffic speeds. Maria goes through, we look at the crash history, how close to sidewalks. We look for cut-through traffic, we look for school zones, things like that. Then from that we get our point total. If the point total is under 50, that area doesn't qualify. And so then we close the file out. If that point total is over 50, we go through and we do a follow-up traffic study to validate the results. Because as Chad said,
the same style study, you're just doing it.
Study.
Okay, the tubes and everything.
Right, we just want to make sure that there wasn't an anomaly between one of those two.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Maria,
Thank you.
Yes,
and thank you very much.
you're here.
And that brings us to the end of our agenda for the day. So if there's nothing else,
Thank you.